Hi, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to manipulate recorded MIDI data and the things that you can do once you've sort of recorded information in, what can we do with it from there. So the first sort of things are sort of related to the inspector. We've got various different sort of parameters here. The first one being the volume. Alright, so if we play this back, alright, with the click track on, let's turn that off. Alright, I can sort of change the volume. Alright, essentially if I'm going to be mixing sort of different parts against each other, I can sort of alter the pan. Alright, you won't be able to hear that panning because this particular video is in mono. But that's where if you want to sort of place something sort of left or right, you'll be able to do that with that control. This one down here is sort of track delay, and it's nothing to do with the delay that you might find on a guitar multi-effects or some sort of effects processor. It's actually sort of delaying this MIDI part playing back in milliseconds. Be cautious when using this, because if you use it too heavily, you can find that your parts all sort of don't play in time with each other, so it's best to leave that alone for the time being. Okay, one of the sort of main things that we can manipulate MIDI data with is something called the key editor, and the key editor is accessed by double clicking on the part. Alright, so if we just double click on this part here, and this now is the key editor. Alright, the main features being, you can see down the left hand side we've got the MIDI keyboard. Alright, so each one of these notes or events are sort of matched to notes on the keyboard. So it's telling me exactly what notes I played, and across the top is all the bars, the 2-bar loop that I've sort of created, and it's sort of showing me where I've played those notes back. So if I play that back from here now, you can see as the song position counter sort of goes across those notes, those MIDI notes are played back. Okay, I'm just going to get rid of the transport bar. That's F2 if you want to sort of get rid of that. All right, and spacebar on the keyboard can start and stop as a bit of a sort of keyboard shortcut. So I just press spacebar, it'll play back. Press stop and it'll stop it. Okay, so from here now I can start editing these notes. So if I want to sort of move notes like I've done with that one, I move that one up there, and you can hear as I move the note, the actual instrument plays what the new note is. And if you actually just click on the note, alright, it'll play that actual note. It's quite a handy feature if you want to sort of edit these things and sort of know what you're going to be changing it to. Alright, so you can hear those changes have taken place immediately. Okay, so not only can I change what note is played, I can also change when it's played. I can move things along the timeline. Alright, so if we play that back, change the length of these notes. So if I click on a note and if I hover my song position towards the end of one of those notes, I can then sort of change how long it's played for. Okay, so the MIDI part's beginning to sound quite a bit different to what I originally played. Okay, I can actually draw in notes myself. So if I want to sort of add to whatever notes have been played here, I can grab to my toolbox at the top, and there's a little sort of draw function, a little pencil. If I click on that, all right, and then I can start sort of drawing in notes, and you can hear as I sort of draw them in, it's actually sort of those notes are played back, and you can see that they're played in exact amounts, and again that is sort of dictated by the snap quantize function at the top. So at the moment it's set to 16ths. That means that every time I click a note, all right, it's going to draw it in on a 16th of a bar, and it's going to be a 16th of a bar long. If I change that now to say quarter notes, all right, if I play, you can see that the sort of grid line as I move the pencil across is only snapping to every sort of beat, every quarter of a bar. And if I play, all right, there you go. You can see I'm pressing in longer notes now. All right, and I can sort of draw them in longer if I want to, like that. Okay, so let's play that back. It'll probably sound awful. What that actually is playing back is not what I originally played. It's playing back the new sort of edited sort of version that I'm doing in here. All right, at the bottom here, these sort of lines, or stalks as I call them, this is what we call controller data down here, and it immediately defaults to this sort of value over here, which is velocity. Now velocity is how hard a key is pressed. When I sort of played those parts in originally, it will have sensed not only what notes I played, but also how hard I hit the keyboard. But with the notes that I've drawn in, it kind of defaults to a default value for sort of clicking notes in. And at the moment, you can see it's this value here, which is 100. All right, as it says the insert velocity, and that can be changed. You can sort of change it by sort of just clicking the arrows down there. So if I click in a new note over here somewhere, you can see that this velocity is a lot lower than these sort of ones, which is set at 100, and this one is at the new value of 60. Okay. So these velocities, even though I sort of can put them in by setting this insert velocity, I can also change them manually. All right, and you can hear as I sort of change that velocity, that new velocity is kind of sort of played in as well. All right, and I can get things sort of sounding a little bit more real as I would do if I was sort of using a velocity sensitive keyboard. Alright, so you can hear some notes are softer than others. Alright, if I wanted to sort of do these velocities all at once, say for example I wanted them to get progressively louder, I can use another tool in the toolbox, which is this at the top, the line tool. Alright, if I click in there and then I click and drag like that, alright, it's only gonna I'm going to preempt myself. It's only going to sort of adjust the very end one, this note here, which is selected. All right, so if I watch that, all right, it's not touched any of these. All right, what you have to be careful to do is to make sure that no notes are selected up here. All right, because if the note's selected here and you try and alter the velocity down here, it will only alter the one that you've selected. All right, so now that we know that we've just clicked outside the box, all right, now that we know that we've not got any notes selected, we can go back to the line tool. And if we click on that and move up, and then you can see there now that I've sort of chopped the top off all of those velocities and made them uniformly sort of progressively loud. And you can see that Cubase uses a color code as well. If the note is played very, very lightly, it uses a cold sort of reading to make the notes blue, so that the velocity stalks down here are blue, and they gradually get hotter until they're sort of very hot up here. All right, so the colour of the velocity stalks matches the notes that they correspond to up here. All right, so if we play that back, all right, you can hear things getting sort of progressively louder. Okay, and that's the key editor.